One of my earliest memories of God preparing me for something has to be when I had to wait for admission to get into school. When I was growing up, by the grace of God, I was like a smart child. I'm still a smart child in Jesus' name. So I was a smart child. For me, that meant exams were always easy for me to pass. Most times I did not even read. I'll just try to be in class. Whatever the teacher says, I would always remember it. So by the time I was graduating from secondary school, which some persons would call high school, I think I was one of the people that people had a bit of expectations from, if not high expectations from. So tell me how I actually got to the point where it was not time to get into school. And despite the fact that I was writing exams and passing, I could not get in. It was so embarrassing. There's this thing called JAMB, which is Joint Admissions Matriculation Board exam in Nigeria. So that is an exam you have to write for you to get into university, which maybe globally people call college, right? So I, wrote the first time, I couldn't get in. Wrote the second time, I couldn't get in. Third time, I couldn't get in. I remember when I was about writing the fourth one, I read like my life depended on it. I was like, God forbid that I should write this fourth time and I won't get in, because the thought of writing for the fifth time was so traumatizing. It was even traumatizing me before it happened. Guess what? I wrote the fourth time and I couldn't get in. By the fifth one, I had almost given up. I was like, okay, let me just try. And by the grace of God, I wrote and I got in with the fifth one. So that process was a lot for me. It was a crushing process. It was a pruning process for me. For others, it might look like, oh, she was not getting it, but I know the things that God used that stage in my life to do. That season of my life, exactly. It was a pruning process for me. So by the time I got into school, when people interacted with me, they'll be like, you don't look like a fresher, I remember one girl that came to evangelize to me. She was like, okay, are you in like 300 levels? So I said, no, I'm in first stage. She was like, are you serious? Like, how are you in first stage? Because of the processes I passed through, even when it comes to my devotion with God, I know that if I had gotten into school immediately from secondary school, I don't think I would have been that dedicated to God, because of that difficulty I faced. Then at that point I had lost my dad, who was like the breadwinner of the family. So at that point I had learned to turn to God for every challenge I have, for every obstacle I have. Alright, so by the time I got into school, it was no longer like a difficult thing or a foreign thing. So whatever difficulty I faced, I turned to God. Even in the times when I did not have so much, when I was not living in abundance, when I did not have so much resources, instead of going out to compromise, I would turn to that same God that I prayed to, and He provided admission for me. Alright, so it was now a thing of, okay, I've passed this exam, so anytime I need something, I'll now say that same God that did that one can do this one. So, and that has been like my watchword from that time to now. So when it comes to preparation, a lot of encounters I had with God on campus started from that point of difficulty, that point of loneliness, where I saw people move forward in their lives, advance. I saw my mates get into school. I saw my juniors get into school, started heading towards admission. Of course, for me to have written JAMB 5 times, that means the people I started writing JAMB with graduated before I got into school. So you also see that thing of, oh, I'm a smart kid, God crushed it. All right, so now when I see people that are struggling, there was now that compassion that feels come up. Exactly. And even my initiative, which is like an NGO thing that came up, it was bettered from that place where I was like, I know how it feels to wait, to be delayed, to write exams and pass it and you're not getting it. I know. So before, if I had gotten it, I think I would have been like, maybe the person didn't study hard. But because I passed through that stage, when I see people in that condition, compassion is there. There is that compassion there. So that's like one memory I know I can remember correct. Of course, there are many, even in the place of marriage, even in the place of finances, a lot of things. There are many, but that's like the earliest memory of God preparing me for something. One thing I would say about that is that influence it feels so good. Like, do you know what it means when I come into the building, all eyes on me, when I walk into a place, it feels so good. right? So there's this thing they usually say, there is no one that you put sugar in their mouth and they'll spit it out. Though I think that because of a lot of fit farm and healthy living now, people will definitely spit it out. Some people actually, but the point is that everybody loves the good things of life. I'm Igbo, so there's this thing they'll say, Anya na ihoma barando, based on the eyes has a covenant with good things. So everybody likes good things. So when it also comes to influence, everybody loves it. Forget, I know some person will be like, no, I don't like to be popular. I don't. Influence is beyond popularity. Influence is the ability to get people to do something, to do your will, right? So influence is a very good thing. Exactly. So yeah, sometimes people can be influential without necessarily having leadership positions. Exactly. So influence is so attractive. It's such a cool thing. It makes your life easier. It makes the whole journey easier and all that. So people desire it but overlook the preparation, because the preparation process is not a funny experience. You know, sometimes I hear people sing this song, oh Adulam, I'm like, I hope you know the meaning of Adulam. Like, there was a period I read the book of First Samuel, Second Samuel, First Kings, Second Kings, First Chronicles, Second Chronicles, David, and I saw the things that David passed through to be king. And that was where, like, you know, him hiding in the cave of Adullam, you know, that's where the whole Adullam scene came from. It is not a funny process. So I feel like, number one, that is one reason that people want to skip the preparation part and get to the place of influence. It is such a painful process. It's a place that people do not like to be in. It's really painful. Then number two is that people do not understand that preparation is as important as that promotion or that influence you are looking for. So lack of understanding is another reason, because they just feel like, oh, I just want to go out there and shine. But they fail to understand that you cannot even shine. Even if by mistake you shine, it cannot be sustained, because there was no preparation. It's just like someone that, you know, crams a book and gets into the exam hall. When the person gets into the exam hall, they will, and maybe the lecturer twists the question somehow in such a way that is not direct, because the person did not adequately prepare. The person might be caught off guard. The person might be disorganized, because of that. So number two is that people lack the understanding that preparation actually helps them stay strong. Just like the story I shared, imagine that I did not, you know, prepare for being in school, and maybe I was now faced with lack or difficulty or anything. The first thing I'll be thinking of, what's the easiest way out, because I feel like everything is easy. And that's why even in the real life, they'll tell you speed kills. Where I live currently, like, it's a developed country, so there are very good roads, express roads and everything. Do you know that they still intentionally put roadblocks? Sometimes they put, like, there are these metal dots that they put, you know, and the essence of those metal dots is that, yes, on express roads, is so that just in case you are speeding so much, by the time you get there, it will give you a little bit of, you know, hiccup, and then you realize that, oh, I shouldn't be speeding this much. Or just in case maybe somebody is driving and lose control, those things will serve as like friction for the person not to crash easily. So people ignore, people want influence but do not want preparation, because, like I said, number one, everybody loves the good things of life. Number two, they lack understanding that preparation is as important as the promotion or the influence that comes. Then the last but definitely not the least is that preparation period can be really painful and embarrassing. So like the experience I shared, imagine all the times that I had to like stay back and watch people go ahead of me. At that point, everybody's going to be telling you, what is going on, I remember so many people be like, leave this law, let this law leave you, do this, look for another course, go to another school, do this, do that. But the point is that I was convinced that is where I was supposed to be. And thank God for my mom, who supported me throughout. There was never a day she told me, my friend, go and do what others are doing. Do you understand? So that's the thing. So imagine someone like Saul. You can see the difference between Saul and David. Saul, there was no preparation to be king. He was just called into it. Oh, the tallest man, the tallest man in Israel, very handsome, everything, from a very wealthy family. He was not prepared. So that was why at the first light of an inconvenience, the instruction that God gave him, go and, destroy these people and come back, he couldn't do it. But if you look at the life of David, you'll find out that for anything, because he was prepared to be king, for anything he wanted to do, he would always seek the will of God. And one of the most popular ones is where his wife and children, the whole wealth he had, were taken, he did not say, who is this person that has taken this thing? I need to go and run and take it. No, the Bible said that David inquired of the Lord. He says, shall I pursue? Would I overtake? Would I recover all? Do you understand? So it is in that place of preparation that God builds your character and you understand total dependence on him. So if people understand that despite how painful the preparation stage is, it is very, very, very important and it's for our own good, then they wouldn't want to skip it or they wouldn't want to ignore it. I would say people that are in that season of their lives where they feel stuck, one thing I would say is, first of all, be sure that you are in the will of God. That's the first thing you should decipher. Am I in the will of God? Am I doing God's will? Once you decipher that, then and you are certain that you're in the will of God, that the reason you are stuck is not because you're on the wrong route, but because that is like your waiting season. What you need to do is, the only thing you can do is what? Wait. There's this Dunsin Oyekan song that I love a lot. He said, I will wait. It's not one of his popular songs. Wait on the Lord, wait, stay on the Lord, stay. Build up your strength. So there's a song like that. I think it's I will wait. That's the name of the song. And he said in one of the places where he was like chanting, he was like, I will wait for my inheritance. Servants receive gifts, but sons receive inheritance. That's so that was so profound. That really blessed me. Do you understand? The other day I also like overheard my husband listening to a video, and in the video he said something. He was like, when God is silent, that means it's your test period, because even in school, when the lecturer gives you a test, he's not there. That's not the point he's teaching you and talking to you. He's quiet. He even expects you to be quiet. You're not expecting to be when a test is going on. Alright, so if somebody is in a position where they are stuck, figure out if you are doing God's will. If you're not doing God's will, you can recalibrate, you can reboot yourself and come back to being in the center of God's will to align with his will. But if it's a case where you're in God's will and it's your waiting season, the only thing you can do at that point in time is to wait and do it patiently and graciously, because there is something I have learned that beyond waiting, how you wait is also very important. So if someone is stuck, wait, yes, and trust that whatever is going on, that God has the best intentions for you, something way better than what you want for yourself. So just go with that confidence.
Wow. Thank you so much, Spice the King.
For someone that is in that period where they feel unseen, me, I've been there many times. I'm even currently there right now. Also, one thing I know that I think you should understand or tell yourself is that God sees me, and that is like the most important eye or the important person to see you. So I understand that human beings usually every human being has that innate desire to be seen by others, like your other human beings. I totally understand that. So everybody wants to be recognized, and all that, but have the understanding that even though you are not seen, growth is happening. Like capacity is being built. When my niece, like a different person, sometimes I look at her pictures from last year, I'm like, when did you grow like this? Like, when did you move from here to here? And sometimes you see children, like, you look at yourself, even your body, sometimes you be like, oh, what used to size me before is not size. Do you ever sit and ask yourself, when did that growth happen? Exactly. Like, I see the throwback picture of I and my brother, and I was taller than him because I'm older than him. Now I see him, even with my high heels, he's way taller than I am. So you'll be asking yourself, did you ever see when God said, okay, wait, let me put another block or bone so that this person will grow taller? It's in the invincible. It's not for the eyes to see. So the growth that will last, that will hold you, always happens behind the scene. Imagine Jesus for a 3.5-year ministry. He was behind the scene for 30 years. He was behind the scene for 30 years. Even as at age 12, he was already so versed with the scripture that the Pharisees began to wonder, how does he know all these things? Meanwhile, the Pharisees are like experts of the Lord, people that have read it front and back. So they were so amazed that they began to ask, how does he know all these things? So did you see that from between age 12 and age 30, we did not hear anything again about Jesus? And even when he was about starting his ministry, he still had to go to an unseen place. He still had to go to which is the wilderness, for 40 days and 40 nights, which is where he gained the stature to be able to do ministry. So you even see, even with the apostles, at the point that they also came to be with Jesus, at least for those 3.5 years, they had to sit first of all and be disciples before they even became apostles. So if you're in that place where you feel unseen, I understand that it's not a pleasant place to be in, but also have a greater understanding. Be so persuaded. There's one of my favorite scriptures is where Paul said, now I know who I've believed, and I am persuaded that he's able to keep that I have committed unto him against that day. So when you get to that point where you understand that, oh, the person that has kept me here is not stupid, this person is not ignorant, this person is not laid back, this person is not wicked, this person has my best interest at heart. When you get to that place, it would really help. And one of the things that God used to teach me this is this. There was a time I was so obsessed with getting at least 5,000 steps in my health app. You know how iPhone works now, the health app can show you how many steps you took in a day. So that time, anywhere I'm going with my phone. If I'm going to the toilet, if I'm going to the kitchen, wherever I'm going. So at some point I started having this feeling that my phone was going to break because of carelessness. All right, so I was now in that place, and I was like, okay, what do I actually do in this case now? If this is what God is revealing to me, that means I need to stop going around a lot to my phone, so that I can be very careful. For example, you might be in the kitchen and you don't know who could come in, or something could just happen and it will break. So then I was struggling between that thing of how do I walk around with my phone without it breaking, and then how do I, if I drop my phone now, I'm not going to get in the steps I need. And the Holy Spirit spoke to me about it. He told me something. He was like, Kate, beyond the steps, beyond the app recording that you took 5,000 steps, if you take 5,000 steps and the app records that you took 3,000 steps, how many steps did you take? I was like, it's still 5,000. And I was like, good. So it doesn't really matter if the app recorded 5,000 steps, as long as you took 5,000 steps. Even if the app sees it or does not see it, the fact that you actually did it is what is actually most important. So whether you feel seen or unseen, I want you to trust that there is a God that is working behind the scene, that by the time he projects you, you'll be like, oh my goodness. And I also want you to understand that God is the God of speed. If you want to measure it by progress, okay, after this one I'll do this one. No, God can cause growth to be exponential. He can go from one, that's what they say, we went from 0 to 100. Right. Do you understand? Like God, you might be thinking, oh, okay, after doing this one now, oh, do you know how long it's going to take me? Look at, if for somebody that wants to do this one, you have to first of all do this one. Second, you do, no. God can actually finish preparing you, then take you from that 0 to 1 million, and nobody will question him. And people will not be like, oh, she suddenly emerged. Exactly. Where have you been? They will not know that behind the scene that you were there, God was working on you, and you were unseen. Nobody was noticing you. There was no accolade. There was no reward. Okay. Before I forget this, I also want to say that even if you are not in your season of obscurity where people cannot see you, even if you're not in your waiting season, make it a point of duty that even in the season of greatness, that you are able to set out time. You know how Jesus said, the Bible says that early in the morning Jesus will go to a solitary place to pray, and what was the aftermath? All men sought to see him. Do you understand? So even if you're not in your waiting season, even if you're in the season where God has promoted you, you are now in that realm of influence, you also need to learn that discipline of leaving the spotlight and going behind the scene, because that is where the growth happens. That is where the growth happens. Character is very important because it is it is more stable than talent. At the initial stage, the stage of initial gra, talent usually looks more appealing. But the truth of the matter is that the actual things of life, including the influence or whatever you are looking for, has different phases. There is a phase where the initial gra will fade. That initial zeal, passion, motivation will fade, and then it is now people of character that can last. So look at someone like Samson. Samson had, I know, of course, what he had was the anointing of the Lord, but we might, maybe in a secular term, you might say talent. But because he lacked character, that was why a whole Samson that destroyed thousands of Philistines with just the jawbone of an animal was the same person that they gouged out his eyes and was made caricature of. So character is very important because it is what will stand the test of time. Because in everything you do in life, the test of time will always come. And that's why even in the preparation season, because at the top, it's easier to crash than to go up.
That's very true.
It's easier to come down than for you to go up. So when you are at the top, the only thing that will sustain you there is the character. I remember there was a time that God was working on me with respect to this thing of being seen and being unseen, right? I already shared the story of my phone, counting steps. That's one of the things that God used to kill my desire. I have a sanguine blend in my temperament, so you know that normally sanguines like to be out there, like to be seen. People that typically call as a queen or as a king. Did you understand? Yeah. So God had to start working on that thing in me in such a way that, Kate, even if you're doing something and nobody is recognizing you, be satisfied with the fact that you are doing the right thing. It doesn't matter who is giving you accolades. Be rest assured that God is enough. The God that sees you is enough. And trust me, I have been in many situations where I am doing something and I know that somebody that is doing this deserves this level of accolades, but because God has built, and I'm not getting it right, but because God has built that character in me, I'll not go around and now be like, why are people not recognizing me? Why are people not? I am fine with whether you see me or not. Of course, it's not like if you honor me for what I did well, I would like that, I would appreciate that. But if you do not honor me, it's still fine. The point is that I am doing the good deed. So character is what is going to set you apart. So talent is good, are very amazing, but I would always advise anyone to merge it with character, because talent at some point on the long run, where the pressures of life will come in, what will keep you there is the character and not the talent. What will distinguish you, what will help you get along with others, what would stop you from making a mess of yourself. Because just like I say, God is interested in who you become. He's interested in your future. That's why he wants you to develop your character now. What will stop you from making a mess of yourself and people will laugh at you and say, can you see this person? Can you see that person? It is the character. It is a character. So it is very important that we are very big on our character, more than we're even big on our talents.